be taking a look at Ukraine, Israel, and other conflicts of interest. As of this recording, it is October 24th, 2023. Now, first of all, we're taking a look at Ukraine in the Krasnohorivka direction. So, what we can see here is that the Russians have advanced somewhat significantly over here, at least a couple kilometers, uh, around what it seems to be Avdiivka, and we talked about it. We've been talking about it actually as it has been a city or town that Russia has been trying to encircle for quite a while now, but they've really been stepping up their offensive as of the past few days. And unfortunately for the Russians, it has yielded an incredible amount of equipment losses for them. But it seems that, I guess throwing enough equipment at the problem will yield gains, but as to how many exactly in terms of casualties and equipment losses this amounts to, we don't really know as of yet, but what's been saying and what's been going around is that it has been a tremendous loss of equipment for the Russians in this offensive here. And another look at the Bakhmut area, what appears to be, around, of course, West Bakhmut. Uh, Russians seem to have at least moved forward, pushed a bit past the city, because the Russians have been pretty much stationed just on the outskirts of the city and haven't really, from what it seems to have moved too much since the taking of it. And it seems like perhaps they're either trying to push or Ukraine has repositioned a bit further into these fields, but that's what it seems to be in this area. Now, taking a quick look at the live UA map, the thing that caught my eye, of course, is always the combat engagements, and 54 combat engagements does starkly contrast from yesterday, which is 38, and the day before, which was around 80, I believe. So from what it seems is that uh, previously Russia was trying to just throw as much men and equipment at the problem, and yesterday it probably took a day to regroup for the most part and rethink their operation and go for a harder push, which is what seems to have been yielded in of course the Krasnohorivka direction. If we just take a quick look, of course, Bakhmut area, see exactly where we saw the map change, and over here as well in the Krasnohorivka direction where we can see not just there but just seemingly around, just to keep the pressure on Ukraine and just some other offensive operations as well. And over here, of course, too, near the whole Robotina area, where Ukraine was at least trying to push near Tokmak, seemingly trying to keep Ukrainians in place or trying to win back what had been lost by the Russians previously. And of course, just artillery going all across the front line, although not, but it doesn't necessarily appear to be as much as before we had seen the past couple days. But as to what this will amount to, we'll see. So a couple quick things here by SW that caught my eye. Russia increasing its domestic production of artillery shells and trying to supplement their need for ammunition by North Korea. And as we know, if you've been following this conflict relatively loosely, you would know that Russia has been trying to reach out to other countries, and namely North Korea, since they're both countries that use Soviet-era equipment, that at least trying to supplement ammunition and shells from North Korea, that it would be compatible with what Russia already has and what it already uses. And further, the Russian government appears to be emphasizing defense spending over social programs. So, of course, I mean, it makes sense considering this war has been incredibly costly for both sides. And if Russia, as we know in the past, from Afghanistan and, World War One, just in terms of the Russian state in general, that both of these wars were incredibly costly and were incredibly damaging, not just to the Russian state, but also to the confidence of the people in the Russian state. So, of course, the last thing the Russian government needs is to lose this war. So, just trying to get over as fast and hopefully as painless for them as possible is what they're trying to work out for themselves. But as we can see, as it's day 600 or something of this war, it doesn't seem to really be going in Russia's favor. I also want to make one quick note about Oryx as well, is that apparently Oryx is not going to be updated as consistently anymore. So, which is why, as of the past couple of days, we haven't seen so many updates in terms of equipment losses. So I didn't know this until just recently. So just keeping that in mind, I will update you on any equipment losses in the future, but as of now, I'm not sure how updated it's going to be for the next coming days or weeks or months. So just one more quick story. Russia attempting to recruit women in their war against Ukraine. So it is incredibly interesting to see this because, as we know, Russia has been mainly trying to recruit people not from their metropolitan areas, but from their, other republics, from, minority republics to try and supplement their manpower need for this war. So them branching out to try and recruit, from what it says, women for frontline roles, including snipers and drone operators. It's interesting to see how they're trying to source their manpower in a way that isn't going to risk the collapse of their state, for lack of a better way of saying it. Because as we know, since this war, they're trying to brand it as a special military operation. It's just, an excursion and just a war that's going on far away, but, something that you should kind of keep in the back of your mind that, the heroes of Russia are fighting in, and yet, they're trying not to make it too worrying or make the people think that, what really is going on, that, you know, are we really winning all these battles? Are there really Nazis in Ukraine? Just that's why this really caught my eye in terms of a story of how this is, how Russia is proceeding in this conflict. So taking a quick glance here at just a little bit of footage, this appears to be in the Avdiivka direction, and I'm not entirely sure if this was taken today, a couple days ago, or whenever, but this is dated in October. So I'm just going to run a couple seconds here because I don't want to show you the full clip, just so you can get an idea what's happening. So this appears to be a convoy of Russian armor and led by some BMPs. And just to give you a quick synopsis of what happens, it doesn't end well for the Russians as they run over a couple mines and they have to do a medevac, and there are some drone drops. So it doesn't end well for them. So it just, further shows what the Russians are getting themselves into, which I suppose throwing enough men and equipment at the problem is eventually going to yield some gains if you throw enough, enough resources at it. But as we can see, it's at a very high cost. So pivoting over to Israel Palestine, nothing really of note is catching my eye out here. Just the usual, bombings of the Gaza Strip, missile strikes across Israel by Hamas, and usual hostilities with Hezbollah, which of course, as a whole is all terrible. It's just, as of the past few days, it's not really anything necessarily of note, other than taking a look at the West Bank. There seems to have been less unrest out here, um, as of what's been reported lately, which contrasts the past couple days of what's been going on, at least in the West Bank. So, in terms of how this is going to look in the future, who knows? But taking a look at what Iran has been saying, they're attempting, of course, to dissuade Israel from actually trying to invade the Gaza Strip, which, I mean, it makes sense since, Iran is supplying Hamas. So what they're pretty much saying is, hey, if you invade, we're gonna help Hamas. So, and we know since they've already been helping them, and we know that Iran has, trained not just Hamas but other terrorist organizations in the past, which have been, rather effective at, of course, the uh, United States occupation of Iraq and Afghanistan, which, as we know, the Taliban was at least relatively effective in, not really going away. And what Iran seems to be warning here is, hey, we'll pretty much do it again, and we can probably do it better. So it definitely seems worrying when you see that a country is pretty much saying, you know, if you try and invade this other state, that we're going to help them out, and it's going to turn out pretty bad for you. So what, which is why, as we've seen, Israel warned like days and days ago that they were going to invade the Gaza Strip, telling people in North Gaza to evacuate. And as we've seen, actually, that people are moving back into North Gaza, at least over the past couple days. So, will Israel actually invade uh, with boots on the ground? We don't really know, but we'll just have to really wait and see as to how that's going to turn out. Other than that, in terms of Israel-Palestine, any footage that I saw was, just the usual bombings and missile strikes. Nothing else really caught my eye or anything else that I'd feel particularly inclined to share or that I would really be allowed to share. So yeah, that's really all that I've been seeing out there. So straying away here from Ukraine, Israel, we can see suspected Islamist militants in an East Congo attack, namely the Allied Democratic Forces, or the ADF, which, as it says, have ties to IS. And something interesting, the ADF has been expanding its operations since April of last year, although the group is not known to claim responsibility for its attacks. So it's just interesting to see that, of course, there are conflicts in the world that are going on other than Ukraine and Israel that are, of course, complete travesties to hear about. But of course, I'm just here to report it and just let you guys know about conflicts that are going on across the world. Alright, well, that's all I really wanted to talk about here. If there's anything else that I missed or that I should cover in the future, let me know. Any questions that you might have, be sure to leave a comment. And other than that, thanks.